Okay, so I just wanted to thank everyone for attending this QuoteWerks webinar. My name is Brandon Grant. I'm the Marketing Director here at QuoteWerks. Today we're going to be demonstrating the ConnectWise integration between QuoteWerks and ConnectWise, some of the new features we've added in the last few releases, as well as just the overall functionality of the integration. We'll also be showing you some of the workflow diagrams. We have a couple that are ConnectWise specific that are available on the website. I'll show you where those are available as well. And then we also have additional resources on the website. So if you do need assistance getting it set up or using the integration, we'll be able to do that. We will be recording this webinar and posting it on the website and also emailing it out to everyone. So if you did come in late or if you can't stay for the whole thing, we'll make sure that we email out everyone a copy of it. So some of the new features that we added in version 4.9 are going to include, these are some of the major ones. Obviously support for ConnectWise 2014.5 and 2014.4. So if you're on either of those versions and you're getting a message with QuoteWerks saying that it's not supported, just need to upgrade to the latest version and you'll have that support automatically. You won't have to make any adjustments or anything like that. It will just automatically be supported. We also added dashboard notifications in QuoteWerks. So in the QuoteWerks dashboard, if you have set a specific status in ConnectWise for an opportunity, we'll actually show you that you need to create a quote for that opportunity in QuoteWerks. And I'll show you where that is and how that can be set up. But it's a pretty cool feature, very useful if you use anything like LabTech or any kind of other program that's creating opportunities for you in ConnectWise, and then you need to go back and create a quote for those opportunities. You can use those statuses to kind of flag that opportunity in QuoteWerks, and then you'll have that notification in your dashboard. We also have the ability to set your ticket defaults. So if you have specific defaults you use for most of your tickets, you can now set those in QuoteWerks in the setup. We also have the ability to create the accounts from QuoteWerks directly into ConnectWise. So if you are getting ready to generate a new quote or proposal for a customer and they do not currently exist in ConnectWise, you can actually create them directly from QuoteWerks. So that's one of the newer features that are available. We also expanded our purchase order integration with ConnectWise. So first now we can actually pull the ticket number from the ConnectWise ticket into the QuoteWerks line item field, and then that ticket number will actually carry over when we go to create the purchase order in QuoteWerks. So you'll be able to search by ticket number if you're looking for specific items. We can also launch the ticket in ConnectWise from the Purchase Orders tab. So there'll actually be a hyperlink there, so you can actually pull that information in or view that ticket before you maybe mark the item as received or add the serial numbers, anything like that. We'll also be able to update the ConnectWise purchase orders and supply the serial numbers for that purchase order if you're using the inventory module. This is a newer feature in the software that I'll show you today, but it's really cool where you can actually mark it as received in QuoteWerks, and then we'll update ConnectWise that it's been received as well. Again, you'll need the inventory module and ConnectWise for it, but it's a pretty cool feature if you do have that. And then we do have the option to be able to post received items in QuoteWerks to any ConnectWise PO. So even if QuoteWorks didn't create the PO, we'll actually be able to update that in ConnectWise. So another cool feature that's available in the latest version of the software. So the ConnectWise integration has been greatly expanded. It's something that we're constantly working on. We're always updating it. We actually have a couple developers dedicated strictly to adding more functionality into the integration, and as ConnectWise adds more API functionality, allows us to do more things. But the gist of the integration is going to include your contact support, so we can actually pull and push contacts. We can attach additional documentation to your opportunities. We can create those opportunities. We can update those opportunities. We can add the recurring revenue line items to the document. We can add products, create those forecast lines for you. We can also integrate with the products, so we can pull the products from ConnectWise into QuoteWerks. We can also create the new products. We also added bundle support, where we can write the bundle items into the opportunity as well. Then we obviously have our service ticket support, which we'll get into, our purchase orders, which is fairly new. And then for anyone that's using ConnectWise as a kind of like secondary CRM, where maybe your salespeople are in Salesforce or a different CRM, and you want to use ConnectWise specifically for the ticketing, you're able to do that in QuoteWerks, and we'll go through where you can actually set that up. So if you're interested in using that functionality, it's available for you now. So just to go into the integration points a little deeper, the contact integration is going to be typically you're going to pull the contact information from ConnectWise, or now in the latest version of QuoteWerks, you can also push the contact information. So as long as that company doesn't currently exist, we'll actually create them in ConnectWise for you. If they do exist, QuoteWerks will actually pop up a message and say, hey, this company already exists. You need to pull them into QuoteWerks if you want to create a quote for them. So if they don't exist, we'll create it for you. If they do exist, you'll just need to pull them in doing your normal search. We also have our opportunity support so we can create and update the opportunities. We'll create those forecast lines. We'll write the line items into the opportunity for you. We can also create the bundle items as well in those opportunities. Additionally, we're going to have our product integration, so we're going to be able to create new products in the ConnectWise database. So if you're quoting any items in QuoteWerks, and as you're creating those opportunities or winning those opportunities and those items are flowing into ConnectWise, if any of those items don't exist, we'll actually create them for you. We can also pull any existing items from the ConnectWise database into QuoteWerks. So if you keep your items in ConnectWise and you want to be able to pull them into QuoteWerks, we'll be able to link directly to that product database and pull those items in. We've also added agreement support. There's actually a great video on the website. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long. Shows you exactly how to set this up. But you can actually set it up where you can flag your items as agreement items so that when they go over to ConnectWise, you know that you need to create those agreements for them. So another pretty cool feature that we've added in the integration recently. Our follow-up activities, we're able to schedule the calls, email admin tasks, etc. All that information is available. That'll be done when you actually save the quote, so that trigger. And again, something we'll walk through today as well. We also have the option to create a secondary activity, so if you need to create more than one, you'll be able to do that. It's just another checkbox right below the creating the follow-up activity. Our service ticket integration is going to let you create these service tickets in ConnectWise. Once the quote or proposal has been won or accepted by the customer, we can create tickets for the products and services, services only, products only, or for none of the above. So you'll have a lot of options when you're getting ready to create those tickets. Those default settings are available, so if most of your tickets follow the same kind of format, you'll be able to set your defaults, but you can change them if you need to. And then we will track that ticket number all the way through to the purchase order in QuoteWorks, so you can reference it for those items that you've created that ticket for. We also added our PO support, so we can create the purchase order in ConnectWise. If you do have the inventory module, we can also mark those items as received and write those serial numbers into ConnectWise. So a lot of functionality that's going on there, and we'll make sure to cover that today as well. So here's a snapshot of some of the ConnectWise features that we've added in version 4.9. I think last time I checked, there's over 45, 50 new features specifically since version 4.9 was released last year that we've added just for ConnectWise users. So there's a lot of things that it can do. So if you ever do have questions about capabilities between QuoteWerks and ConnectWise, if it can do this, if this is available, if there's a specific feature that we told you is coming and you're not sure if it's out yet, just give us a call, send us an email. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions you do have about the integration. Specifically, if you need help with setup or anything like that, we'd be more than happy to kind of walk you through that and show you where all the information is available for that type of stuff. So a lot of questions that we get in relation to QuoteWerks and ConnectWise is kind of the workflow, like how do we use the integration, where do we start? So we've put together a couple of these so you guys can actually see them. We have a couple more workflow diagrams on the website that you can view, but it's pretty simple. This kind of illustrates it just so it makes it a lot easier for users to view. So the first one is you're going to create your quote or your Quote Valet quote. So if you're using Quote Valet or you're just going to use QuoteWerks and deliver the document via email as a PDF, either one, that's going to be the first step. So you're going to create your quote. You're going to select that contact, build that document in QuoteWerks. You'll start selecting your products and services from your databases, whether you're using Eatalize or the ConnectWise database or your own databases. You'll start building those items and adding them to the document. We then have the delivery to the customer and then the customer accepting and making payment. Or maybe they're just accepting and you're going to bill them later. Either way, that's going to update the opportunity in ConnectWise as one, or you can use a different status if you'd like. That's just the default status that we use. And then from there, you'll be able to create tickets once you've won that opportunity in ConnectWise. So if you need to create a specific service ticket for those items on the document, you'll be able to do so. At this point, you'll be able to resource the product. So if it's been maybe 30, 60 days since the customer ordered or since you originally sent the quote, so you need to check pricing, you'll have the option to resource pricing to check stock and negotiate with your vendors before actually placing the order with the vendors. And then obviously that's going to be the next step is placing the order. If it's with Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synnex, or D&H, you can place the online order directly through QuoteWerks. If it's not, that's fine. We can still create the purchase order. So we'll be able to create that PO. If you're not using ConnectWise for purchase orders, we do support QuickBooks and Sage 50, also known as Peachtree. So if you're using either two of those for your purchase orders, we can actually create the purchase order in those two systems as well. So if you wanted to create the document in QuoteWorks, have it flow into ConnectWise, and then have QuoteWorks create the purchase order in QuickBooks or Sage 50 or ConnectWise, you do have those options available. And then finally, it'll be the last step will be just tracking the information, tracking the order to delivery and fulfillment. So if you do have, if you need to kind of track these items and kind of see where they are, you'll be able to do that through our purchasing module in QuoteWorks. So one of the things that we always like to mention is Quote Valet Web because it is fairly new. So if you are using Quote Valet or if you tested out Quote Valet Web is included at no additional charge in your Quote Valet subscription. This is the reporting engine for Quote Valet, so it actually provides you with like reports that you can generate based on your documents in Quote Valet. There's an executive dashboard that would be specific for managers so they can see how many quotes have been sent for the day or this week, how many have been accepted, paid, all types of really nice information to so they can kind of see what's going on with the company that week or that month. There's also comparative analysis, so you can actually compare reps against each other. You can also see the My Summary, which would be specific to a sales rep, so the sales rep can see just their documents, kind of what's going on with their documents in Quote Valet. There's also a status board available. We actually use this in-house. Very useful if you have multiple reps in the same location. You can actually put this on like a 40-inch TV or some type of monitor where all the reps can actually see what's going on with other users' quotes. So as orders are accepted and completed, they'll actually see those notifications. Very useful if you have people in and out of the office all the time so you can make sure everyone stays on top of those orders. There's also the Find functionality, so you can locate your documents in Quote Valet. The Inbox, which duplicates the information in your Quote Valet inbox in QuoteWorks, so you can view the same information, see if customers viewed a quote or changed an option or whatever kind of notifications there. And then you also have the peer reviews and approvals that are available as well. The website's a great place for resources, so if you do have questions, if you need assistance, we have videos on setting up the integration, how to use the integration, how to set it up for agreements, using service tickets, setting ConnectWise as your product source. There's a ton of videos on specific ConnectWise feature information, so if you do have questions, it's a great place to go, you know, if it's after hours or you're just wanting to find a quick video on kind of how to do something, definitely check out the website. The online help file does have a step-by-step guide on setting up the ConnectWise integration and just kind of navigating through those mappings and everything. So if you do have questions, that's a great place as well. It is searchable by keyword. So if you do have other questions related to QuoteWorks, maybe in using real-time or the Utilize functionality or creating templates or something like that, that information is going to be in there as well. And it is indexed, so it can make it a little easier to locate that information. We are going to be at IT Nation in Orlando, so if you guys are planning on going, make sure to check it out. We're also at the ASCII events as well, pretty much every one. I think there's about one a month that we attend. We're also going to be holding an IT Nation kind of pre-event online. We usually do one at IT Nation, but it only holds about 30 to 40 people usually. There's only that many chairs in the rooms, so since we usually have a lot of demand for it, we're going to go ahead and do it online this year so we can actually get as many people as we want. I think the GoToWebinar will hold 1,000 people. So we'll be able to have up to 1,000 people in the IT Nation pre-event. We'll send out an email to everyone with the invite here probably in a couple weeks, but I believe it's going to be November 4th. So you just might kind of want to make a mental note of that we'll be holding that, and that'll be a great thing to attend. So it'll be sort of like our pre-day event, but instead of doing it at IT Nation, you know, a lot of companies can't make it out there. You'll be able to watch it online and be a part of it there. If you don't check us out, if you're not on social media or you haven't connected with us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn, make sure you do. We have a lot of great information out there. We have our videos on YouTube. We post updates on Facebook and Twitter all the time, so it's a great resource. We do have our forums on the website, so if you want to connect with other QuoteWorks users, that's a great place to go because you can kind of ask other QuoteWorks users kind of what they're doing. If this is how they're doing something, and we have a lot of great partners and users that are very active in the forums. So first thing I want to show you is just some information on the website. So let's go to our website first. So if you do have questions or need information, you can get to basically anything related to ConnectWise under our integrations dropdown, and then click on CRM/PSA. And then this will bring you to the Contact Manager integrations, and then you can just scroll down until you see ConnectWise. And then once you see ConnectWise, simply click on it, and that'll bring you to the QuoteWerks integration page to ConnectWise. And this has a ton of the videos that are specifically related to ConnectWise. It has all the integration features. So if you have questions about that, it's a great place to go for this information. We also have our online help file that's available. So if you click on support or just mouse over it, you'll actually see all the support options that are available. So if you need an update, contact tech support, want to access the forums, the videos, all that information is going to be available under support. If you actually click on support, it'll bring you to the support page. And then you'll see there's a help system link here that you can click on. And that will let you access the online help file in QuoteWerks. And this is going to be the most up-to-date help file that's available. So this has all the information. So if there's a new feature, but maybe we haven't officially released the latest version of QuoteWerks, you can come here and you can see if it's available. So make sure you guys check that out. It's a great place to find the information that you're looking on. But also, feel free to give us a call and send us an email if you do have questions, because we're always happy to answer any questions you guys have. So let's go into QuoteWerks. So the first couple things I wanted to mention is depending on how many of you have been with QuoteWerks for a while, or if you're evaluating QuoteWerks, there's a couple things that you'll want to make sure you do. And the first is to obviously set up your ConnectWise integration. So I've already got to my setup screen here. And I got here by clicking on Contacts and then Set Up Contact Manager on my QuoteWerks installation. So if you look up at the top at QuoteWerks, there's a menu that says File, Edit View, Products, Tools, and then Contacts. If you click on that and Set Up Contact Manager, it'll bring up the selection screen. You select ConnectWise and then click ConnectWise Setup, and it'll bring you to the ConnectWise screen. The reason I'm bringing this up is there's a couple new features that I want to make sure that if you want to use, that you've actually set the options up here. So the first one's going to be the integration mode. You'll see here it says Primary CRM. So if you are using Salesforce to manage your contacts, but you're using ConnectWise just for the ticketing, or you're using another CRM, maybe even Act for your contacts, but again, you're going to use ConnectWise for your ticketing or for your tech guys, you can actually set QuoteWerks up here, or set ConnectWise as your secondary CRM in QuoteWerks. And what this will allow you to do is still use the other CRM as the primary, but this will still create the opportunity in tickets in ConnectWise for you. So if you're interested in doing that, if that's something that you guys are waiting for or needing to do, you can set that up. Right underneath it is going to be the purchase order integration. So if you wanted to use ConnectWise for your purchase orders from QuoteWerks, you can set that setting here. It will also allow you to change it to QuickBooks or Peachtree, which is Sage 50. So if you wanted to use QuickBooks or Peachtree instead, you can make that adjustment as well. So we're going to go ahead and just leave ours as ConnectWise for today. And then right underneath it, you'll see there's a notification section. This is where you can set those opportunity statuses to show up in your QuoteWerks dashboard. So I was trying to explain this earlier, but it's a lot easier to visualize when you can actually see what's going on here, is that if you set a specific opportunity with this status, so for instance, this one is set as Create Quote, and this is pulling from ConnectWise, this will actually create that opportunity, or when that opportunity is created in ConnectWise, and it has a specific status, it's going to show up in your QuoteWerks dashboard so that you know that you need to create a quote for that document. The really cool thing is that if you have any items in that opportunity already, they'll be pulled into QuoteWerks. So it's a really cool feature. I think we released that in Build 7 or Build 8. So if you're not on the latest, go ahead and get on the latest, and it'll include that functionality. You just will need to set your defaults here for those specific statuses. And you can do up to 3 of them. So if you have 3 different statuses you want to specify in ConnectWise that you want it to flag in QuoteWerks, you can do that. And then below this will be your service ticket default. So if you want to set your default service board status and service type, you can do that. You can even have QuoteWerks warn you if you haven't created a service ticket from the one opportunity. So if you want your reps to always create a service ticket, or at least warn you if you're not creating one when you're winning that opportunity, you can have that setting set here. So again, this is under Contacts, Set Up Contact Manager. If you do have questions about this, feel free to post them in the comments as we go along here. I'll try to circle back to as many of the questions as I can. I see there's a few that have already popped up, but we're going to try to cover this information. I'll try to circle back as much as possible and make sure we answer all your questions today. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit OK here. Again, that's something that you'll want to make sure if you're new to QuoteWerks, or you're just new to ConnectWise and you're setting up the integration. There's a couple mappings you'll want to set, but there's some default settings that you'll want to go ahead and take care of in there. So if we were using the dashboard notifications to access them, you're simply going to click on your dashboard icon here in QuoteWorks. So you'll see it's up here between the deliver, and if you're using Quote Valet, it'll be right next to the Quote Valet icon. If you're not using Quote Valet, it'll be between your deliver and products button. So if I click on the dashboard, it's going to let me know that, all right, here are my dashboard notifications. So I have my normal summary information. So I have my quotes that I've created this month, any recent documents I've worked on, any quotes I have expired in the next 7 days. And then also shows me on the right-hand side these notifications. So any opportunity that's been created that's been assigned to my user and it has that specific status is going to show up in this notification. So again, just makes it very easy to stay on top of those things. And if you are using something like LabTech and it's creating those opportunities, if you have it defaulted to set up, an opportunity with a status of needs quote or create quote or something like that, then it'll show you a notification here. Next time you come into QuoteWorks and you view your dashboard, you can quickly click on the Create Quote for ConnectWise opportunity. It'll open up that quote. If there's any items already associated with it, it'll pull them in, and then you can continue to build the document for your customer and then deliver it out through QuoteWorks. All right, so let's go ahead and go through the steps of creating a document in QuoteWorks and delivering it to the customer so we can walk through the entire process. So the first thing we want to do is we want to select our contact. Now, if you know that the contact doesn't already exist in ConnectWise, you can actually create it from QuoteWorks. And the way you would do that is simply put in the company name, and then you would put in the contact. And then when you do that, you'll see there's a gold button that shows up that says Create New Company in Contact Manager. Now, I'm not going to do this just because we already have a bunch of contacts in our ConnectWise, and I don't want to have to go back and delete this. But that's just to show you it's that easy to add that contact directly from QuoteWorks into ConnectWise now. Now, typically, you would probably want to go through the rest of the steps and add the address, the city, state information, just so you don't have to go into ConnectWise later and do it. But you could, as long as you have the company and contact, those are basically the only two required fields to start that contact process in ConnectWise. So if you already have your contact, then we can search for the contact by clicking on the magnifying glass button here. And this will bring up our Lookup ConnectWise contact window, and we can search for a contact to pull into the quote. So let's go ahead and search for Aspire, which is our company, and we'll make our selection, and we'll select Brian here, and we'll send him a bunch of Quote Valet emails. And if you do have multiple addresses for your contacts, when you select a contact, QuoteWorks will prompt you to select that correct address or that correct site. So you can see here we're going to go ahead and select the just main address, and we're going to use the same one across the board. You can mix and match contacts and sites in this page. So if you're selling to one location, shipping to a different, billing to a different, you can mix and match. That's fine. The important one is the sold to. This is who we're going to create the opportunity for. So you do want to make sure that you fill out the sold to with who you want on the document in QuoteWorks and who we're going to create that opportunity for in ConnectWise. If any of you are using templates or would like to use templates in QuoteWorks, this is a great place to do that. So before you select your contacts, you can actually load a template from QuoteWorks that you've already created. If you want to create a new template, it's as easy as clicking on File, Save as Template. And what that allows you to do is add like heading lines, specifically maybe if you want to do hardware templates or you have the services quote or proposal that you provide and you want to already have some of the default information, you can create those in QuoteWorks. To access any templates that you've already created, simply click on File, New, and then you would click on your Template tab, and it'll show you all the templates that you've created, and then you can simply select which one you want to use. So let's see, if I created one today, so let's go ahead and use that one. And so this one already has a couple heading lines in there, and then I can click on my Sold to, Ship to tab, and we can go ahead and let's add a contact to our specific template. I see I have a question. Lars, I'll send you some information on creating the contact in ConnectWise. We actually have a short video that'll show you everything on how that works. So that's how you can use templates. Very easy. There's not much to it. So let's go back to our document. We're going to go ahead and start from a scratch document because I want to show you pulling items from ConnectWise. So if you don't have your items set up in ConnectWise or you're not using the ConnectWise item database, you can skip this step and pull your items from Eatalize or one of the other databases. If you're going to pull it from QuoteWorks, it's a very easy setup. You're going to click on Products, Set up Product Sources, and then click New, and then you would select ConnectWise. Now, I already have mine set up, and you click Next and go through the different mappings. But I'm going to go ahead and, if we click on our product lookup screen here, you can see I already have my ConnectWise database here. So we're not going to do an importing of your items or anything like that. The ConnectWise link is just directly linked to the ConnectWise product source. So if your items already exist in there, we'll actually populate them for you. You can search by the manufacturer, vendor part number, description, or manufacturer part number. Or if you click Show All, it'll actually add all the items to your all the items that are available in that database and let you search for them and pull them into your document. So let's go ahead and select a couple items here. We'll select this item, and we'll go ahead and we'll add them to our document. And as you can see here, once you add the items to the document, you'll be able to make changes if you need to. If you want to add a description or edit your description, you can do that. Same thing with part number, vendor. And then one of the most important fields you're going to want to make sure you keep track of in QuoteWerks is going to be your item type field. This is the field that determines how this particular item is going to be sent to ConnectWise. So if your item is listed as a product, it'll go over as a product. If it's going as a service and you have it mapped to services in ConnectWise, it's going to go out over as a service. So it's very important that your item type field is set up correctly and mapped correctly. Usually if someone says, okay, well, I sent this over to ConnectWise, it didn't go over correctly, typically it just has something to do with a mapping. So very easy to change and adjust if needed. So let's go ahead and let's go back to our products, and I'm just going to add a couple of services to our database just so we can see how those get sent over to our document as well. And we'll use heading lines just to break this up here. So it makes it a little easier for you guys to read as we're going through this. So as you can see, these services are already listed as service, so if I needed to change them to product or something like that, we can adjust that, that mapping if we needed to. One thing you'll also want to keep in mind is if your services are recurring, as these are both monthly, and you can see that at the bottom it's telling me that these are monthly services, you'll need to make sure your services dates are set in order for the information to go over to ConnectWise correctly. So if you don't have them set by default, we can right-click on these and choose Edit Line Attributes, and then we can actually set these dates. So we can say, okay, yes, they are recurring, they're going to be monthly, and then the cycle basis we'll just say is a specific date. So you can do either the start of a date or the start of a cycle, like beginning of the month, beginning of the week, beginning of the year kind of thing, or you can do a specific date. And then another one that you'll want to keep in mind is include first payment in document total. That's something that we hear a lot of, where someone says, okay, you know, I set these items as recurring, but the price is not coming up correctly in my total, typically because you don't check the box to include the first payment in the document total. If you leave this unchecked, in this case, they would actually get that first month for free. So you'll want to make sure that's checked if you charge for the first month or the first installment or whatever it is. And then if you're going to use the contract dates, those are set on the Sale Info tab in QuoteWerks. Otherwise, we can specify our dates here. So we'll just go ahead and specify it starting today, and we'll do it for a year. So again, this is a great place to make any changes. If you need to adjust pricing or anything like that, you can do that. You'll also see over to the right, I've added the ticket number field. So this is going to be a new field for you if you're in one of the older versions of QuoteWerks and you just updated. This field is now available. To add that field to your document item screen, you'll simply need to click on View and then Customize Columns. And this will actually let you show you an entire view or entire list of all the columns that are available on this document item screen, and you can move them around. So you can change their name if your company calls them something different, or if you want to prioritize certain columns over other ones, you can do that. So it makes it very easy to have that information there. I'm just pointing that out because we're going to take that ticket number and search for a purchase order here in a minute once we create that opportunity and update it in ConnectWise as an order. So once you've added the items to the document, we're going to go ahead and save it. So the save is going to be the trigger for the ConnectWise integration. So this is always important to keep in mind that this is where we're going to name our document. This is where the document number is going to be assigned. And then this is what triggers the integration with ConnectWise, so we can create that opportunity, or if the opportunity already exists, we'll update it with the information from QuoteWerks. So you'll want to make sure you have your box checked for Create Update Sales Opportunity. We'll also create the link document, so if you need a copy of that information available, that'll be out there as well. We can also create a follow-up activity. So if you need to create a reminder or something like that for someone else, you can do that. And then if you want to create a service ticket at this point, you do have that option. So you'll basically have two options to create the service tickets. You can do it when you're creating or updating the opportunity, or when the customer has accepted it and you're ready to move forward, then you can actually create the service ticket at that point. So let's go ahead and hit OK here, and we're going to save our document in QuoteWorks, and then you're going to see it's going to bring up our opportunity window. So our opportunity window, by default, is going to create new ConnectWise opportunity, but if I do click on the drop-down, it will let me select an existing opportunity. This is going to be dependent on whichever opportunities you have already set up for that company. So we're going to go ahead and do a new one since we're doing a demonstration here. This is going to be our opportunity name, and then you can go through and just fill in the rest of the information. So this is, from the type down, is all going to be completely related to ConnectWise. So if this is the information that's in ConnectWise, that's what we're going to pull in here. So your type, your status, description, all this information you can actually set here, and you can go through and make any changes. And then you do have the option at the bottom here to create or update the individual product items. What this will allow you to do is that if you don't want QuoteWorks to create the items in ConnectWise yet, maybe you pulled them from Utilize and it's a new item that you never sold before, and you don't want it to be in ConnectWise until the customer has accepted it, you can leave this unchecked, and QuoteWorks won't take any of the items and create them in the ConnectWise database. We'll still put them in the opportunity, so you have your forecast lines, but we won't populate the products in there yet. Once the customer has accepted the quote, then we'll populate it with the items. And if any of the items don't exist in ConnectWise, we'll go ahead and we'll create them at that time. For our purposes, we're just going to go ahead and write them over now. If you need to attach any kind of additional documentation, so if you want to include a PDF, maybe a statement of work, anything that the customer provided that you want to include in the opportunity, if you click on the Attachments tab up at the top, that'll bring you over to this Attachments side where you can actually choose to add a file from somewhere else on your machine, or if you included anything on the QuoteWorks Links tab, you can actually attach it here. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit Save. So it's going to just run through the different steps. It's going to add the items to the opportunity. Now, I checked the box to create a ConnectWise activity, so it went ahead and brought it up. So you can actually choose, okay, is this a call? Who's it assigned to? And then do you want to specify a time? You can go through all those and set it. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel because we don't actually need to create it, but just wanted to show you that that functionality is there for you if that's something that you needed to do. And then if you do have that box checked to create the service ticket, it'll prompt you right now to create that ticket. And again, it's going to use your default statuses that you've set in your ConnectWise integration. If you haven't set default ones, it'll just start with typically whatever the first one is. So you can choose to create the ticket at this time. I'm going to go ahead and decline to create the ticket because we're going to do it when this customer accepts this document. So let's go ahead and hit Cancel here. So now if we go into ConnectWise, so let's go ahead and open up ConnectWise, and let's go to our opportunities. And we're going to go ahead and sort these opportunities once this finishes loading so we can find this specific opportunity that we were looking for. All right, so let's go ahead and search by Brian. And do this month. Okay. So you can see here, here's our opportunity that we just created, and you can even see there's the QuoteWorks document number, so FLAQ 1289, and you can see up at the top it's FLAQ 1289, so I do know that's the right one. So if we click on that, that'll go ahead and load up our opportunity in ConnectWise. Now this may look a little different because this is the test ConnectWise that we use for our development, just because it has a little more functionality for what we're showing today. So if it looks a little different to you guys, that's why, because this is like the latest, this is pre-alpha for ConnectWise. So if you see something that looks a little off, if you're saying, no, that's not in my ConnectWise, that's why. So just to keep that in mind. So we have our items over here. We have our product items that were sent over, and then we also have our services as well. And you can see they are set as recurring. And then if we click on our service here, you can actually see the recurring information that is going to carry over from QuoteWorks. So if you do include that information, you don't have to worry about setting the dates again from QuoteWorks into ConnectWise. We'll carry those dates over for those items. So that's why it's important that you do set your service dates if that's important to you for this particular quote. So we'll go ahead and leave that as included. If we click on our Products tab, you'll see the 2 products were sent over to ConnectWise as well. So that information is in here. If we hadn't checked that box on that opportunity, the one on the bottom left that said create those line items, this information wouldn't show up here yet because we're just going to say, hey, we're not creating those items yet. So it would just been a forecast line for products rather than the individual product items. And then if you have any of those documents that you wanted to include, if you click on the Documents tab, this is where that would show up. This will also have the copy of your QuoteWerks document. So if you have created that QuoteWerks document, it'll show you a copy of it here. When we deliver this document to the customer, whether you're using Quote Valet or you're emailing the quote or proposal to the customer, we'll attach a PDF version of that document here in this opportunity. So if someone doesn't have access to QuoteWerks and they need to view what was sent to the customer, they can actually click on the Documents tab in ConnectWise, and they can view that opportunity. So a nice little feature for anyone who's maybe in purchasing or in tech or something like that who doesn't have access to QuoteWerks. They can actually quickly go into ConnectWise and see what was delivered to the customer if they have to check on something or if they're looking for the service agreement or anything like that. So we're going to pretend we delivered this document to the customer. We sent it to them. Everything looks great. The customer says, okay, we're ready to move forward. So in QuoteWerks, when you're ready to move forward with your order, you want to convert the quote to an order. That's going to do a couple of things. First, it's going to close the quote in QuoteWerks. So this is important for workflow because this is how we say, okay, this quote is no longer a quote. It's been accepted as an order by the customer. So let's go ahead and convert it to an order. So we're going to click on File, Convert to Order. And then if you have approval settings, they'll pop up here. I'm just going to go ahead and overwrite that. And then you can see here this is asking you, do you want to convert this quote to an order? And it's going to change our doc status quote to close, but it's going to create a new order for us and set it as open. If you're using Quote Valet and you open the document in QuoteWerks, QuoteWerks will automatically check Quote Valet for any updates. So if a new document has been accepted by the customer, QuoteWerks will automatically want to convert this quote to an order. If you're not seeing this pop up when that's happening, there's a Quote Valet setting. There's a little checkbox for it when you set up your Quote Valet that can ask you to automatically do this. So you can check that setting. Just let us know. I can show you where that information is. So let's go ahead and hit OK here. So we're going to convert that quote to an order. And you can see now it's an order instead of a quote. And now automatically it wants to convert our existing opportunity in ConnectWise as one. Now this is going to be the typical step for most users, but some users, they say, okay, well, we don't want QuoteWerks to do that. You can turn this off. So if you're not if you don't want QuoteWerks to automatically update that opportunity as one, this is a setting that you can adjust and you can change it if you'd like. So for those of you that do use it this way, we're going to go ahead and continue with this step. So it's automatically going to set our status to 1. We can change our sales stage if we'd like. We can change anything, location, business unit. Again, all this information is being pulled from ConnectWise, so if you need to adjust or change something, you'll be able to do that here. Additionally, at the bottom, you'll see there's a new checkbox or a new drop-down box for your tickets. So this is where you can create those service tickets if you haven't created them, or if you simply need to create them at this point. Now you can do that. If you click on the drop-down, you'll have the option for your services only, products and services, or each service. So if I wanted to create a ticket just for my 2 products, I can do products only, leave the other one for none. Or if I wanted to do one for products only and one for services only, I could do that. So it's going to be up to you how you want to create those. For our sake, we're just going to create the one because it's going to look exactly the same whether you're doing it for products, for services, or a mixture of the 2. So we'll just do it for products here. You'll see that it's grayed out to create those individual product items in ConnectWise. So if you hadn't already created those, it doesn't matter because QuoteWerks is going to force create those now because you do need that information in ConnectWise in order to have it in your pipeline. So let's go ahead and hit Save. And we'll update that opportunity in ConnectWise. And then once it updates in ConnectWise, we'll go ahead and we'll go back into ConnectWise. So now it's prompting us to go ahead and create that service ticket. And this, again, should look very similar. So we can actually link it to the opportunity, put the information in, and then you can put in the ticket name or whatever you want to call this ticket. So that is the one field that you will have to put in is what you want to call this ticket or kind of the summary of the ticket. So for this one, we'll just call it our office bundle for now. And we'll create. So that'll create our ticket. And then you'll see here, for my 2 product items, it now wrote that ticket number into QuoteWerks. So that does actually show up in our QuoteWerks document under our ticket number field. If I had created one for my services, it'd also show up on my services. It's also another reason why I wanted to show it under products, so you could see that the difference between when it is there and when it's not there, that's available. So let's go back into ConnectWise, and let's go ahead and refresh this opportunity. And if we go back to our forecast, you can see all our information is here. So if your pricing had changed, if your quantity had changed, if anything had changed in the QuoteWerks document before you converted it to an order, so maybe you went through different revisions with the customer, the last version of the document, the one that you convert to an order, that's going to update the ConnectWise opportunity with the correct information. So if you are creating multiple revisions of the same document, or quantities are changing, pricing is changing, or if you negotiated better pricing or whatever, all that information will be updated in QuoteWerks first, and then we update the opportunity in ConnectWise before we set the status as 1. Now, at this point, if you're going to be creating projects or sales orders or anything like that, we'll leave that up to ConnectWise. We don't really want to get too much into that. ConnectWise is designed specifically to handle that information, so we'll leave it up to you at that point to be able to convert that information. But yeah, as you can see, it's as simple as clicking on the Convert button and choosing if you want to create a sales order or project from there. So they made it very easy for you guys to be able to convert these opportunities into those sales orders and or projects if you'd like. So let's go back into QuoteWerks. So now if you're in QuoteWerks and you're ready to I'm reading your question here, asking if it's possible to link the order to an existing ticket. Yes, you can actually, when you're creating the ticket initially in QuoteWerks, there's actually a drop-down. That's actually a good question. I should have showed you that. There's a drop-down that says Create New Ticket, but if I clicked on the drop-down, I could actually link to the existing ticket instead if I wanted to. So when you convert that quote to an order, you can click on that drop-down, and it'll let you link to that existing ticket instead. So now that we have our order document, let's go ahead and we can now go through with our purchasing. So let's click on our purchasing icon here. And this is just going to let you know it wants to create any open, close any orders that you currently have open. And let's just center this here so it makes it a little easier for you guys to see. So now I can search by my currently open order or multiple orders. So I only have the one order, and I can actually sort by vendor. So if I want to say, okay, well, this was for my ConnectWise items, I can select my vendor, and then I can select my 2 items. You'll also see here, if I scroll to the right, there's going to be a ticket number field. So there's a new ticket number field on our purchasing screen as well. So if you want to be able to search or sort by a ticket number, you can do that. So if we were looking at multiple orders from ConnectWise and you're saying, you know, I really just want to quote from those items or create the purchase order based on those items, I can sort by that ticket number field here as well. So it's a nice, easy way to quickly locate the items that you're looking for and create the purchase order specifically for those items. It also makes it easy to just create the purchase order specifically for those items on that same ticket. Let's go ahead and create the purchase order. Now, if we were purchasing from Tech Data, Ingram Micro, Synnex, or D&H, we can actually do Place Online Order instead. So if we, let's go ahead and clear out of here, and do multiple orders, and let's go to Tech Data. And let's just select a couple items here. You'll see there's a Place Online Order option, and if you click on this, this will bring us to our ordering screen. Now, I can't go too much farther because this is a live, these are live credentials, so this would actually place the order, which is not something that we want to do. So, but you can see here, this is going to be the ordering screen for Tech Data. So you can actually put in the purchase order number, the purchase order description, choose the pricing type, if you're going to pay with the credit card on file, or if you're going to use your terms, how they're going to handle back order shipping. All that information is available. And then again, you're going to have your shipping information, end user, and even the My Order tracker. Now, if you do place your online order with the vendor, it will then create the purchase order in ConnectWise or QuickBooks or Peachtree, whichever one you set as your purchase order integration. So if you're wanting to place the orders through QuoteWerks and still have it create that purchase order, it'll do that automatically. You don't have to worry about changing any of those settings. If you don't want it to do it, then you just turn the purchase order integration off. It's that simple. So we're not going to actually place that order. So let's go back to our ConnectWise vendor. Let's search by our tickets. We're going to take our 2 items, and then we're going to go ahead and select them here. And then you'll see there's a Create PO button. So that's what we're going to click on here. Sean, to answer your question, no, we don't have the option to select credit card for Ingram yet, but it is something we're looking to expand to them. So right now it's just tech data, but we are looking to expand that to Ingram as well at some point. So when we're creating the purchase order, there's going to be a couple things. If you're not using the purchasing screen in QuoteWerks, or if this is a new feature for you, then you'll see here you're going to select the purchase order number. So you can either manually put in your purchase order number, or if you click on the Obtain New Next Number, it'll just populate it for you automatically. And this is basically telling you what year and the number that you'd like to do. The PO date will be set here. You can put in a reference ID, so it just makes it easier to find. Foreign account information if you need to, and the description for it if you'd like to put that information as well. Really, the only information you need is going to be the PO number and the PO date. These are really the only two fields that are required. Now, down here is if you want to export this to ConnectWise. So if you want to actually create the purchase order in ConnectWise, you can leave this checked. Now, you do have to have the purchasing module in ConnectWise, the inventory module, I guess, in order to do this. However, if you don't have that, you'll still be able to create the manual purchase order in QuoteWerks. So if you wanted to be able to track your items, at least in QuoteWerks, in real time or manually update it in QuoteWerks, you can do that. If you are using QuickBooks or Sage 50 for your purchase orders, it'll just say export to QuickBooks or export to Sage 50. So it's going to be very similar action, kind of really no matter what you're doing. If you don't want to export it to any of those, you can leave it unchecked, and we'll still create that purchase order in QuoteWorks for you. So again, you can still have that tracking information. So let's go ahead and check the box here and export it over to ConnectWise. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to prompt you to select the correct vendor. So if you don't see your vendor, you can actually select them. Since we already have our vendor, we're going to go ahead and select it. And then it's going to prompt you, make sure you use the correct address, and then let you know those two items were created. And then you can see here it's going to pull it from your purchasing screen because the PO has been created for it. They have a PO number. They're no longer in the purchasing. They're going to be on our Purchase Orders tab. So let's click on our Purchase Orders tab. And now this is where we can sort by any kind of the purchase orders we've created. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sort by today. So we just have a couple here. And then we could also sort by vendor, a specific PO number, that reference ID that we just talked about, the order ship status. So if it's submitted, shipped, or partial shipped, you can put that in there, and also obviously by the dates. So this is the one that we just created. There's a couple things that'll let you know that that QuoteWorks created the ConnectWise purchase order. The first is going to be, you can see here it says CW for ConnectWise as kind of like the reference information. So if you see that, that means QuoteWorks did create that purchase order in ConnectWise. Over on the right-hand side, you'll also see it says CWL. That means it's linked to a ConnectWise purchase order. If there's nothing here, that means it was just a manual purchase order, which is, again, is fine, because if it had come from one of the vendors, but you're not using ConnectWise for purchase orders, we'd still get that real-time pricing and availability on your items from the vendors so that you can see that information here. So in QuoteWorks, we'll go ahead and we'll update this information. So we're talking to the customer, or we finally got the tracking information from the vendors, or maybe it's another vendor that's not supported. So you want to put your tracking number in here. So we can select, okay, it's FedEx Ground, and we'll just put in a fake tracking number and hit OK. And then we also received the serial number from the vendor. So now we know what serial number it is, and we can put that information here as well. What this is going to do now is that now when I receive this item in QuoteWorks, I'll have the option to send it over to ConnectWise and mark it as received. So let's go ahead and receive it in QuoteWorks. And I'll ask you, is it one of these serial numbers? Okay, it's that one. So we did receive it from the vendor. So go ahead and hit OK. And then it'll automatically have the serial number information. You can put in the location, the asset tag, the MAC address as well, and then hit OK. And then that'll mark it as received. Once you've marked item as received or multiple items as received, you can then right-click and select Post Received Items against ConnectWise PO item. So this will actually allow you to update ConnectWise that this item has been received. So if I will go ahead and do that, it's going to update it as received. And let's go into ConnectWise here, and let's go to our purchase orders. And let's go to today. Where's my dates? Oh, right here, purchase date. Let's go to today. And so here's the purchase order that we just created, so we can click on that. And then that'll open up our purchase order in ConnectWise. And then you can see there's a Products tab, and if we click on that Products tab, that'll show us that one of the items has been received, and it even has the tracking number information for us. So again, makes it very easy to take the information in QuoteWerks and then simply update ConnectWise with it. If you're not using the ConnectWise purchasing module or the inventory module, that's fine. You can still use this information to keep track of your items. So if your customer does request them, you can actually send it from here. You can say, okay, maybe your customer is asking, well, how does the, can I get the tracking number for my items? No problem. Right-click on this specific item, and you can choose email tracking numbers. So if there's more than one item associated with this particular one, so maybe there's quantity of 3 or 4, you can click email tracking numbers, and it'll open up the email window, and it'll let you know this is the tracking information for this item. And then it includes the tracking number, and then you can just email it directly from QuoteWerks, and it automatically populates the contact information from the order that we had created for them. You'll also have the option of copying the information to your clipboard. So if you wanted to copy the tracking number and serial number to your clipboard, you can do that as well. This is very useful for anything that you want to do in or deliver to the customer, so it's easy for them to see. So if I go ahead and I paste that in my clipboard onto like Notepad, you'll see here it lets you know, okay, this is your manufacturer part number and the serial number. So you could actually go through and copy and paste that information from the purchasing screen and put it anywhere you need to. If you track it in an Excel sheet, if you track it outside of ConnectWise, you can easily get that information out of QuoteWerks. This is very useful if you are placing any online orders with the distributors, what that information is going to look like. All right. And then the last thing I wanted to mention on this screen would be once you've received your items, you can close the PO. So if we go here to our partial received, let's go ahead and receive this item. You can see it's fully received, and then we can even close the PO. And when you close the PO, it'll remove it from your shipping screen. So it's grayed out there, as you can see. And then if I refresh it, it'll be removed from our purchase order screen. The Ordered Items tab will let you search for items as well. So if you're looking for a specific item or you want to add a comment about something, kind of like a note, this is a great place to do that. You'll probably spend most of your time in the Purchase Orders tab, but the Ordered Items tab is a great place to go if you're looking for a very specific item for a very specific customer. Maybe not all the items on a specific document, just, hey, they got 3 out of the 4 items. Go ahead and check on the status of this one item. You can look for that under the Ordered Items. It's a great place to find that information. So if you guys do have any questions, feel free to start sending them over. I'm going to circle back to a couple of them that did come in. I see one is asking, can you show what information goes over to the ticket in ConnectWise? Yeah, we can definitely do that. Let me get back into my ConnectWise here. So let's go into our ticket search, and then let's go ahead and put in the ticket number. So this is the ticket that we created with 626. And so you can see it pulls the information in from the document. And then you'll also see there we do write the products for, since we created this is a product ticket, we would write the products into this ticket as well into ConnectWise for you. Karen, currently you can't see other reps' dashboard, only your own. However, if you are using QuoteValet through QuoteValet Web, you would be able to view other users' information. We are looking at expanding our dashboard functionality because that's a pretty new feature. So we are looking at expanding it to be able to search by rep. So that's a good thing to mention because I know development is looking at adding that type of functionality. Michael, when asking if the QuoteValet payment gets brought over to ConnectWise, I'm not exactly sure what you mean because we can collect the payment via QuoteValet, so I'm not exactly sure what you mean it's being brought over to ConnectWise. If you can just put a little more information in there, I'll be happy to take a look at it for you. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'll go through the rest of the questions here. I do appreciate everyone attending the webinar today. So if you guys do have questions or I didn't get to you, feel free to stick around and post them, and I'll stick around for the next 10, 15 minutes probably and answer any additional questions. This was recorded, so if you did come in late or had to leave, or if anyone had to leave early from your team, we will send out an email with the recording so everyone gets a copy of that. So appreciate everyone sticking by today, and if you do have questions, just let us know. And like I said, I'll stick around here for another 10, 15 minutes and answer some of these questions.